Hello, everybody, and welcome to Hometown Cable. Again, I'm Bob Venn, Calvin Castine on the camera. Our program's called What's Going On Here, and we're going back today. This truck says Henry, Meseck, and Son, Morse Forks, New York, asked for lumber on the job, manufacturing, dealing lumber, and shingles. And we're going to be talking with the Meseck family today. We're on the Meseck Road. We're full of Mesecks this morning. We've got Marvin here, who is the son of Jim, and Jim, who's the son of Henry. So we're going to be talking. What kind of truck is this? Ford. I can tell because it says it on the side right there. Yeah. We're going to find out about this truck and a little bit about lumber and see some real old items at the Jim Meseck property on we say the Meseck Road. And good morning. We'll talk to Marvin first. All right, Marvin. Good morning.
Good morning.
Marvin, how we got here, I think Calvin told you, is that I've talked with Brian. Brian, he talked to me and said we ought to come up and talk with his father sometime about his old sawmill that they used to use here years ago. And then I mentioned to Calvin, we kind of just wait in the back, and then he recently saw Sam, Calvin's brother, and brought it up again, and we were here a week ago, Monday, we were here talking to your dad and to you, and we're here already. Beautiful day.
Oh, gorgeous.
All right, your name is Marvin.
Marvin, yeah.
Marvin, we understand you work at the Minor Farm. How long you been there?
24, 25 years.
What do you do at the Minor Farm?
Well, crops in the summer. In the wintertime, we log it. In the spring, sugar.
I've also been told you haven't moved too many times in your life.
No.
You've been always on this road?
Well, I was a little while in Vermont when I first got married.
And
I moved back here.
Is your wife from Vermont or from here?
Yeah, my wife's from Grand Isle.
From Grand Isle.
Yeah.
Good spot to be from. I thought you couldn't get Vermonters to leave Vermont once they're there.
Oh, I don't know.
Well, it's as green as here is over there.
Oh, yeah.
All right. We'll talk to your dad here. Don't go away. You can help us out. And you are Jim.
Yeah.
Well, Jim, we got to start right off because you were telling me the other day we were here on your birthday. Monday was your birthday?
The 11th.
The 11th.
Armistice Day.
Oh, it was on last Friday. And you were not 11 years old. You were not 11 that day. You were how old?
That day,
can I ask you how old you are?
This last birthday, 84.
84 years old, and you've always lived on this road?
Yeah. I was born here on this road.
And are you still out fooling around and doing things every day?
I work every day to keep exercise, keep my strength up. And I don't want to quit till I have to.
Till you get old.
Yeah, till I get old.
You see, I said fool around and you said work. We better say work.
Okay.
All right. We were talking just before we came over here, and I think you told me that, number one, the family is not French. I thought Meseck was French, but it's English. Came from England originally?
Yeah, well, when I was born, they were all talking French.
But they were English people.
Yeah, my great-great-grandfather, that's what I was told. That's a long time ago.
Do you still speak French?
Oh, yeah.
You speak to Marvin and your family in French?
Marvin can't speak French very good, but my wife and I speak French now and then.
Does he understand everything in French?
Oh, yeah.
I can understand, I just can't talk. That's the way you are?
Yeah.
I understand most of it.
Yeah. All right, so your father was Henry.
Yeah.
And did he live at this property?
Yeah, that was my great-grandfather's property in the first place.
What was his name?
His name, they all had nickname. Now, it's going to be hard for me to tell you.
Okay, that's all right. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Did your father, Henry, married a lady from this area?
Yes, from a town of Moores.
What was her maiden name, do you know?
Yeah, she was, my mother was Rosine Longton.
Longton, all right.
Yeah.
And then you were raised here on a farm?
Yeah.
And how many in your family? How many children?
6, 3 girls and 3 boys.
Well,
I have.
I know a couple of them. We knew that Noe was your brother, who used to work in the garage for Harold Coonan in Champlain.
Oh, you mean on my...
Your brother itself.
Oh, my brother. Well, there was, let me see. There's me.
Yeah.
And my sister Rose Birdo. She married a bird.
Okay.
Rose. Then it was me. Then my brother Noe. Now, let's see. Brother Noe. I got to think.
You got to think of which order?
Yeah. Because I get them in order. Then there's my brother Napoleon. There's Rudy. They all got nicknames. That's why I got it. See, his name is Rudolph.
Okay.
There's Rudolph. My brother Stanley. They call him Cliff for nickname. Can you think any more, Marvin?
You got your...
And then there's Fred.
But there were more than 6 in that family then.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you were thinking of his father's family.
Yeah.
And Mrs. Animate was your sister. Is your sister?
Yeah.
What's her first name?
Lasagna.
Lasagna. And we got something to do with Bob then, too, because her granddaughter, Neela Ashline, married my son Thomas. So we're kind of related here in a way, so we can smile at each other and all these things.
Yeah.
You said your father was operating the farm, and then there came a time when the sawmill started here. And how did that come about?
Well, I'm the one that went into that. Because my father was working, he'd cut trees down and hew timber by hand. You know what them are?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, way back, it would be probably in 1924. He was staying to Grandma Collies. They call them Collies, and they're baker. We all it's all mixed up. I might not be just
no, but
right.
maybe some of those people will remember that. Yes.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Oh, yes, they remember that. And he was building a barn for the Upton boys across into the border in Paris Mill.
Is that near the North Star Road? Off the North Star Road?
Down further.
Okay.
You know where the sharp curve is coming into Paris Mill?
Yes.
Yeah. Just up further, there's a road that goes down across the border there.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
The Glass Road, I think it's called.
I don't know what it's called. And he'd cut his tree down with a one-man saw, and then he'd hew them right at the stump, right there. And that barn there, my father told me a couple times, the timber hewed 10-inch square at 80 feet. And he had to use that. He'd take slab, 2 foot thick around the butt to make a timber long enough.
Yeah.
And one day he used 2 sides. That's all he could do in 2 sides.
Yeah.
And, well, he used them there, 2 of them for the length of the barn, whatever. If it was 34 feet, 38 feet, the width, he'd use the end beam. The sill and the upper part, that was 4 timber, because one at the bottom, one at the top. And then, after he get done, he'd bore the hole in there and mortise it for the tenet and for the brace. Sometimes you work 3-4 weeks, a month or better, just to frame up a barn.
Yeah. When he's talking about hewing, if you've seen the big logs, it looks like there's a lot of chop marks in it. They had a big wide, what was it called?
A hewing.
And you had to take the round and you had to square it off with an axe that ran the other way, like a broad axe, but it's crushed. A broad axe it would use, and you can see all these little chop marks. That's what you call hewing, and it took a long time to do things like that.
Yeah.
So then you had a chance to buy a mill somewhere or a saw?
No, I bought a brand new one with my father's partnership in 1927.
You weren't making no $8 or $10 an hour in 1927.
No, we sold for $3.50 a thousand. That's what we was charging then to sell.
Yeah.
But that was a lot better. And my intention was, when I bought the sawmill, and I went partnership with my father in it, moved a portable mill in the wood and saw the timber.
I see.
See?
Yep.
And finished the whole barn, the lumber, and finish it before we move out of the woods.
He was 16 years old probably when he started that.
That's right.
17,
You were 17.
1927. I was.
Turned 17.
Yeah, just barely. Now that's 17 years old. He's ready to start his own business. Today you can't get him to empty the trash at 17.
Oh, yeah.
Now, what year is the truck?
1937.
37.
Yeah, my father and I bought this in March 1937. That's when they approved the 85 horsepower.
Uh-huh.
It went to a V8 flathead.
Was this the first truck you ever had?
No, we had an old Chevrolet before that one.
Is that still around?
Oh no,
The old,
that,
you
I
did
don't
have
know.
that.
That made its life dead probably a long time ago.
Okay, well this is held up pretty good. How long has it been out here, not moving? You did? I mean, the fender is pretty solid.
Oh yeah, this here is.
It could be brought back, couldn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
See, my brother used that to draw hay. We used this when they built the North Way, and we cut hay all night and bale it in the morning. They wanted it as wet as they could, so when they'd chop it, so it wouldn't blow, in the air. Mulching the North Way from Fort Kent to Plattsburgh.
Now, when you were operating the sawmill in the 1920s and 30s, did your father still have the farm?
Oh, yes.
So you'd work all day, then go milk cows at night?
No, I had brothers and other ones.
Oh, okay.
One time, my father and I had 17 and stranger working in a business.
What, you mean you cut your own wood in the woods?
No, buy log all we could.
But what did the rest of them do, 17 people?
Well, we run a mill all night and all day.
You did?
2 shifts.
Were there any other mills at that time in the area? Anybody else?
Yeah, there was William Lafayette and Cheeseman up in Ellingburg.
Uh-huh.
That's the only one.
Now, when people in our area talk about the Meseck Lumber Company, Meseck Lumber, they're always thinking of
Felix.
Felix, yes.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
were you related with Felix?
Yeah, his father and my grandfather, 2 brothers. And the whole crew on the Baker side and the Meseck, that's what they were always doing, a sawmill man.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And way back when I was a kid, my uncle, that was on my grandmother's side, worked for Sam Cannon. There was a sawmill, shingle mill, butter factory, and all that right here at Cannon's Corner.
You know, I'm beginning to feel very inadequate when I talk with this gentleman we already mentioned is 84, and Bill LaBelle, who was 86. We talked with him last week, and they got a memory. They know exactly what they said 60 years ago. I was over to Bill LaBelle's yesterday, and I mentioned that I had been over here, and he said he came here about a week ago, a week and a half ago. Marvin, did you work in the mill too, back when you were growing up?
Yeah, when I was a kid.
Did you enjoy it when you were growing up, or did you want to go out with the girls instead?
No, I didn't.
He helped going to school and helped, weekends. And I had my wife and I, after my father paralyzed, he was 14 years in bed.
Oh, dear.
And I'd help my mother through the night. And during the day, I'd open up the sawmill. Took care of my cows here with 3-4 guys that I had got out of jail on parole, parolees.
Let me just take a short break. We'll be right back. You're watching Hometown Cable, and we're at the Meseck Lumber Mill, formerly Meseck Lumber Mill on Meseck Road, Morse Forks, New York. And we'll come right back. We'll hear more from the amendment of great memory and the smiling face.
That run just like a new one.
We're looking inside here. Look at how nice and clean this motor is. And Calvin picked up something that I didn't when we were off camera. When Mr. Meseck said they worked around the clock, that's 24 hours, that wasn't 3 shifts. That were only 2 shifts.
Two
You worked 12 hours a day.
Well, for near
Except
some
for
of
a
them,
break for lunch.
Some of them would go home, and come back in the morning and keep back and forth.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, this is so well kept. I don't know if it's the rain and when's the last time you moved it?
Last fall we drove.
It runs, in other words.
Oh yeah, runs good. It starts right up.
And this is an 8-cylinder, like you said, the V8.
When they approved it, a V8, this was 37 approved, 38, 37 V8. Before that, they weren't V8.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I want you to know, John Southwick, that this is a Ford. Dr. John, likes cars, and looking inside of the unit now. Of course, the seat's pretty well worn. How many miles on it? Do you have any idea?
The speedometer quit working. It says it right on there. I think it's 136,000.
123,000, and it quit working some time ago.
The gear The gear wore out that run the speedometer, and it.
Yeah. So you don't use it to work with at all now,
Oh,
do you?
no,
just
no.
move it around, right?
Yeah.
Keep her loosened up so she
Yeah.
can keep running.
Now someone's going to come here and want to buy it. Is it for sale? No, it's not for sale, so don't come and ask to buy it. But if you want to come and just talk to Mr. Meseck, that's something else.
Yeah.
All right. So there's a lot of Mesecks that live on this road now, I take it?
No, there's only James R. That.
James R., but you live on the road, too?
Yeah.
I live next door.
Okay, and then you have a son lives here, too, Edward?
Yeah, Edward, yeah.
And then there's my daughter
She lives here, too.
Yeah.
in that mobile home right
Yeah.
there. Lynette, she married a Gregory. Lynette Gregory.
Okay.
And then my youngest daughter lives in the first trailer on the right going down here. My other daughter lives the second trailer. Then my granddaughter lives the third trailer.
It is the Meseck Road. What do you do with your crops? You don't keep them yourself.
I
No.
rent a farm to my neighbor.
You rent it to the neighbor.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to move over and look, see some of the other things that, like your tractor that you were on the other day. Is that a case?
No, Alice
Alice
Chalmers.
Chalmers. How
Yeah.
old is that?
It's a 55, this one here.
You buy that new?
Not
No,
this
no.
one.
No?
The
The what?
other one, I traded a 47 closed that
Oh, this
good,
one.
eh, Marvin?
Yeah.
Yep.
In 1953,
Oh.
I traded the 1947 Alice Chalmer because it's steered with iron, you know.
Uh-huh.
I brake with little
Oh,
lever.
yes.
And I didn't like it to mow hay on the corner.
Yeah.
So I traded the 47 for that 53, and that's a CE. That's a bigger. The other one was a V, a little small V.
Okay. Now, what do we see here in the
That's an old combine.
Come on over here and show it.
That's Marvin.
oh, that's Marvin?
It was,
Marvin
that was
can-
in use for years. And
Did you use this, Marvin? And-
I bought that from miners. So
All right, now,
back.
it's still in working condition?
Well,
It could be?
Oh, it could be, yes.
You save machinery or do you sell them once in a
No.
while? Not for sale?
Well, I'd sell it. Somebody give me enough for it.
Yeah?
Marvin, you know, I filled that full of oil last year,
Yeah.
and it cranks easy.
I know that.
Huh.
Yeah, and the magnetos,
Yeah.
pulse
Yeah,
spark.
it has its own motor right in here. It starts. This is the crank. And it.
Always run the same speed
All right.
see, all the time. Boy, that track nice.
All right.
Clean
Now, for
grain.
people that don't know what it is, what did it do?
You trash oats.
So you would
Grass.
cut the oats, shove
Yeah.
them through it, and knock the
Yeah, pick
yeah,
it up
seed.
take the
itself.
seeds out. Yeah.
We trash, grass, seed, everything with that.
Yeah. And of course, you needed a tractor to pull it
Yeah.
way
Yeah.
back, way up there. Well, right there's the beginning, right there.
under them posts, right there.
Yep, right there it is, right there. That's a John Deere. And all right, well, then next door over on the other side, we're going to take over. This is old farm equipment that the type you haven't seen used for a few years. We're going to go look at there's a blower, and I guess is that a blower over there?
Chopper.
Field chopper. Okay.
Yeah.
Corn chopper,
Let's-
chop with grass, anything.
Okay, we'll take a short break. We'll be right back. So Marvin, not only did you work at Minor Farm, but because you were there when there were things to sell, you were there to be one of the first buyers.
Sometimes, yeah.
All right, you got you say the something over there you got from Miners.
Yeah, the
Oh,
John-
the
John Deere.
and also this field chopper.
Yeah, about
You
that
got
time.
there?
Yeah.
We don't know the year, but it's one of the first two-cylinder here. And it's a New
Ford.
Holland four. It's two of the other-
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin from New Holland. And what does this do? Tell people what this did.
Well, it's a field chopper. You chop corn right in the field and you blow it into the wagon.
Right? The
Yeah.
corn rows go right up on the side of that little thing. They're one row at a time.
One row, yeah.
Yeah.
Today they're doing 3 and 4, right?
Four, yeah.
Then it went up and you follow with a truck on the side and it would blow this.
wagon.
Oh, the wagon in the back of
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Hook the wagon, the hitch in the back.
Yep.
And blow right in the
wagon.
wagon.
Before that, you would cut the corn with a chop with a corn cutter.
harvester.
It would tie it and drop it in the field. Then you'd
Yeah.
pick it up and put it on a tractor, bring it to the silo and blow it up as it was cut.
Yeah.
This was an innovation for the first time. And then you also had a hay head that you could do the same thing with your hay, and you had silage, hay silage,
hay
for the
silage.
first time.
Yeah.
You remember the old way when we used to cut hay and go up the hay loader?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
be at
I
a time
had
you had to
one
do.
Yeah.
You still have a hay loader here
No.
too?
No.
Yeah, I was brought up on a farm. And then as we look over here, we see some more old equipment. We see at least 2 manure spreaders. Of course, manure spreader is very important on a farm. That's the fertilizer, so you can get more crops,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Were these also used when you bought
Oh,
them? or-
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I got this off an old Steve Brown, John Deere. That's
Steve
a big
Drown.
one.
Tell us who Steve Drown was.
He's a machinery dealer in Ellingburg, John Deere machinery dealer.
When we came to see you the other day, we were on our way to Ellenburg. We were there about 6 hours taking shots of old pictures of Ellenburg, and we talked about Steve Drown. And his son was the funeral director.
Yeah.
And now his grandson, right?
Yeah.
That's Steve Drown. And there's another one over there.
Yeah.
That's on rubber tires. This was on...
This is
Rubber
rubber
too, but the bearing let go.
Oh.
And
The axle.
the axle and the bearing on the axle there wore out and it gave away.
No, it's a few years... Go ahead, excuse me.
The other manure spreader still works.
Still works, huh?
Yeah.
It's been a few years since I've been on a farm with manure spreaders, but I can tell you this. This other one is not a manure spreader right there, but I don't know what is that.
That's a Chevrolet, no Chevrolet pickup.
Cut it down and made what you ever heard of jitterbug?
A jitterbug, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's
And that's
what
not the dancing kind. That's
No, don't jitter.
What did you use it for?
Just
Just to run around?
No, on a farm. My wife used to drag the baler
Bale hay with
behind
it.
there and bale hay with a New Holland baler, you know, with a Wisconsin motor on it. You could barely move with that and pull big loads of hay behind. It went
Like a
good.
tractor.
Oh, yeah, we
What-
use it for tractor.
What year is that? You any idea?
That was a 37.
37. Did
Yeah.
you make that here?
Oh, yeah, I made it here.
And you had no roof on it. You had to be out there in the
Oh,
sun.
yeah,
You
we-
couldn't have had me help you. I got to have a shade.
Yeah. Well, you see, it was a law that you couldn't fix them so they'd go fast on the road. So what I had to do is to weld the high gear so we couldn't use a high gear just first, second, and third.
Oh,
Because
right.
a lot of them, they didn't do that and they'd get killed with them, you know.
Yeah.
They tried to go as fast as they could.
Now, you had dual tires on each
yeah,
side, too?
It's a
Yeah.
half-ton pickup with a ton and a half rear end in it.
See, I shortened the dry shaft and put a ton and a half rear end in the pickup truck.
rear end.
Did your brother Noah ever come help you with any of that equipment like that?
No.
You knew as much as he did about...
Well, I
dr-
did more because we never had a car that went in the garage. Yes, we always fixed
Is
them
that
ourselves
right?
from when I was a kid.
This is the way it was, folks. You didn't need the garages. They could do all their own work. Now, there's another thing I haven't seen in years, the regular dump rake.
Yeah.
Dump right.
And that's we should at least look at that just for a second for the farm
Yeah.
people. We'll walk over here, watch our step. We'll take a short break while we walk over there.
Now that
All right, this is an old regular rake. It's not a side delivery rake. You made your own rows the hard way with this. Now, this was for a tractor or for horses?
horses.
Horses.
It was built for horses.
You see that seat that you sat on top of there? After the hay was all cut, right, all flat, you would get to a certain spot and just go across, and it would these tines, which went down here, would rake up the hay.
When you get to the windrow,
But then, yeah,
you step on a paddle, lock in the wheel, and it'd raise the teeth, and when it get up to the top, it let go itself, and on the other side of the windrow, pick your hay to the next one.
all right. Now the windrow is your row that you're making. You remember you're coming in from the side, and you're putting a 10, 12 feet. Then you put 12 feet in the end, and you go back and forth, and you'd hit a little trip lever here, and then that would go up and down, and once in a while you'd be 3 feet too far. And my father would say, "Why don't you keep it straight?" Huh? And you were driving the horses at the same time. The sun is beating down on you, and if you're young, you were out pretty late the night before, right?
Not too often.
Oh, not too often? Well, I was out late the night before. So you don't see many of these today, but people are collecting these seats today. There are people who collect the old seats like this, and tractor seats. People are collecting those. And you said this is not yours.
No, this belonged to Bob Rabideau, my first neighbor.
That's
here.
the first neighbor down here with
Yeah,
the big barn?
Yeah. Yeah, that belongs to him.
So-
And it's all worn out. Yeah. See how the teeth, they tangle one over the
Yep.
other.
They used to stay straight. They were good and tight.
Yeah.
And you had to replace these from time to time.
Yeah, if they catching a woodchuck where there was a lump, sometimes they would snap off
Yeah.
somewhere in
But they did a good job, didn't they?
yeah.
They did a good job until they discovered something else.
Yeah.
We're looking in the woods over here, and I see a
we
a
have-
green fence. What's that green line running across?
Wait till we
Maple
get
to
to
When
the
we're going to get over it. We got to go. This is a long trip today, folks. So stay with us. We're at the Meseck farm on the Meseck Road. We're talking with Marvin and his dad, Jim Meseck. As we're walking along, I see this, what looks like an old army hat. Well, it's not that at all. That's not a helmet. What is that?
old kettle. You used to use when they butcher pig, you know, to skull them,
Yep.
to remove the
The hair on the side?
Yeah,
They
hair.
would put this down. It was on top of a bunch of rocks, and then you built a fire underneath it,
Yeah.
and you filled it with water.
Yeah.
And then when you butchered the pig went into the hot, scalding water. There's one of those on my front lawn, full of dirt and flowers, at my house on Church Street in Champlain. Much smaller. That's a big one.
Yeah.
But that's just a little bit different. Now you say you're going to be cleaning this out here, huh?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Over the years, you kind of put things just for that day, and you don't get a chance to pick it up all the time.
Well, there used to be a little building over there, what
Uh-huh.
they used to call a fuel building.
Uh-huh.
See, that tank was in it, and some of these drums. And this is the old wall. I pushed it over in here to get it out of there. And then it built up again
Oh,
with
yeah.
some more
Now,
stuff.
this was your gas tank?
Fuel, kerosene.
Kerosene tank
or,
right there?
Or diesel fuel for the diesel.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you buy your own fuel,
Yeah, I
be
used-
delivered here.
We used to buy all from GLF.
Oh, that's for your mill. You had a
yeah,
diesel.
yeah, for the
Okay,
mill.
all right.
Yeah, that was for the mill. See, there's another one over there. Got a leak in, and we way over there at
Yep.
the end of the building.
Did you ever repair or make an old wheel like that before?
My father used to build that.
All right. See that old wheel from an old buggy, and they were called a wheelwright.
Yeah.
Right, the man who did it, and he used to make wheels.
Oh yes, he made cars and all stuff like that, and I can show you a whole bunch of hubs that he used to make.
We'll
them
be
little
glad to see them. Oh
wagons.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
Those are, people have along the sides of their driveways today. They're getting hard to find now. And they had the steel rim around. He used to make those
Yeah,
to
the
put around.
tire.
Yep.
That there was a brand new buggy, and when Henry Bullrich,
I do Henry Bullrich. Yeah.
and what's that Bullrich that come to our church there, lived in the back? What's his name? His father there. He lived on across from Sulabari there, that dairy farm,
I'm not,
and Paris Mills. You know,
I'm not familiar with what. Henry was the one that lived in the senior housing in Champlain, I think, later. He had a brother that went into the order of brothers. Yeah, we know Henry, yeah.
Yeah. He's related to my mother, them Bullrich.
Okay, well, we're going to move along. We'll go to...
Okay.
Okay.
We go that way now.
All
if you
right.
want to.
All right, what we're looking at now is the follow-up to the dump rake, and you'll see you did not pull it from the front, you pulled it from the side, and this is called a side delivery rake.
Yeah, and it on the caster wheel this end, and the gear gave out on the other end, and this was made in Canada, and I couldn't get the gear to go in the gear case, so I just put it away, and which it was, I think this here is called a cockshot.
Yep, that was the name of a company, yep.
Yeah, in Canada.
Yep, now, this would turn, and this had a series of 5 different little rakes, and it would throw a continuous row.
Push the hay over and come
Huh?
out the
They still use them.
They still use
yeah,
it,
yeah.
but today, many people are not raking. They chop right when right at the beginning.
Yeah.
They cut it and then chop it right away.
What they call that machine that puts it in windrow?
Hay bind.
Hay bind.
A hay bind
yeah.
now, yep. but they still have these around.
Yeah.
And you see the lever you had to do manually right there.
Yeah.
This was not a hydraulic.
No, you just push that lever there to that tip to teat. If you wanted, pick it up, and loose, or if you want to roll it, so it'd clean it up, clean when you bale, so it'd be like a rope,
Right.
and it pull it in. There's two of them. There's another
I see there's
one.
another one in back of it there. That's a different one. I said by it. It looked awfully big to me.
Yeah, that's another old one there.
There's a lot of equipment around here. There's another unit. We don't know what that is right there. What is that orange?
That's a blower to blow chop. Like when you chop your corn in the wagons.
Yes.
That's a blower to blow the corn up in the
You throw
silo.
your corn
Oh,
stalk
okay.
in
All right.
there
All
and
right.
pull
That's
it
at
in.
the. Oh, later you bring it and dump it in there. Is this something that you used on your farm?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah,
used it here.
used
Yeah?
it here. We had two silo here at one
Shalmer
time.
blower.
We had two silo here at one time on a dairy farm.
Most farmers, folks, and Mesecks don't throw too much to the landfill.
No.
Right?
No.
The farmers always keep it for pieces for something else.
Let's need a piece of angler.
That's right. So you don't throw it away.
I just cut the side in a land roller the other day to make an angle iron to go on top of the blade of that little tractor there.
You can make just about anything you want for most things.
Oh,
huh?
yeah.
Well, that's the way it went, yeah.
See, there's another dump rate in there.
Another one right there.
Yeah,
Yep.
Fuller gave me that to move it away in a set of old drag because they were taking the piles of stone out to build a road. So
Yeah.
that there, they pushed it away with the town
Front end loader.
front end loader and see how they bent it all to hell. But
Yep.
I went and got it. And
Yep. Now this is your electric line that goes out to another. Oh, that's for your sugar house out there.
You got your keys?
I don't
Okay,
Oh, thank
stay
you.
with us, folks. You're watching What's Going On here. Bob Zen with the mic and Calvin Castine with the camera. We're talking with James, the senior here, and we're talking with his son Marvin also as we patrol around the old buildings. And what a beautiful day to be out.
Yeah, this time of the year especially.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm a collector anyway, and I like historical things. When we come into the building, we've got a great big diesel engine behind us, and the first thing we're looking at is a mobile free zone can. These are oil cans in free zone from real old Mercury motor oil from Sunoco. Then right underneath it in the green can is a GLF. Back before it was called Agway, Mr. Meseck.
Yeah.
You remember GLF?
Oh, yeah. We dealt with them for years where we'd get our fuel from them for the mill.
Yeah. And probably a lot of your stuff for the farm before that. right? A
Oh,
lot of
yeah.
other things
Yes,
they had.
everything was there because,
Yeah, there's another red GLF off to the side.
yeah, they changed the colors.
Yeah, and then a Tidex, Tidex. We don't know what that is. Probably the Tide Oil Company.
Yeah.
But just some of the old things that are here. You're going to see a combination of old and new. This is not used, by the way. The mill hasn't been used for some time, but was here for over 60 years, right? Since 1927.
1927.
All right. Now, this big monster right here is a diesel. Is that what you tell us about this, Mr. Meseck? This is a big diesel engine?
Yeah.
All right. Tell us, this is not the first one that you had here.
No.
What was your first unit?
The first one was the same make, but it was gas. You know, they used to fire and then coast and coast and coast and slow down, and then you'd lose your speed, and you had to wait till it get it going before you could go on. But this here has a throttling governor, just like a tractor. Just soon as you strain, a little strain comes on it, it opens up its fuel and it develops, about 8 or 10 times more horsepower because it fires every other time over.
This is where the fuel comes in here?
No, here, this is the
Right here, this is the carburetor, all right?
This is a diesel here. You fill this starting tank, see right here, and you use this till it warms it up, and then after it burns this out, you shift to diesel, and you set this so it runs good, you know, so it wants a star for fuel.
Uh-huh.
And then you open the water valve here, and it mixes water in with the diesel fuel, which it makes it a higher combustion and develop more horsepower.
Once you started this in the daytime, would it run all day? Do you ever shut it off?
1 hour at noon when we was running 2 shifts.
All right, that's
Yeah.
all. The rest of the time it would be
It'd be
running.
running night and day.
Now you got to remember, this does not have a gear going out of here to run the equipment. All the power from here is generated from a belt. Is that right?
Yeah.
You'll see on the far side a big wheel,
Yeah, pulley.
a pulley.
It's 3 foot in diameter and 11 inches wide.
Right.
The face.
All right, now it's a big long a belt, and maybe you can see that right here. Let me just show you here. So this is the belt here. You see this belt, and this
Goes right on that.
goes on that pulley, and then this belt goes through these two openings, so it runs, and they could close up for the keep the heat.
Door at night in the winter time.
Yep.
You know, so it keep the heat in there. There used to be a stove in there before that.
Because you didn't want this to freeze up, right? So that would then go in, and we'll show you inside how you had various, it's like shifting with different gears. Now, if you look overhead, you'll see another one over there. See, there's a big,
That thing that runs the whole mill.
now that shaft goes right straight through, and you just take the belt on and off those pulleys.
Yeah. Yeah, when they're not in use, we don't let that run. You know.
Okay. Now, there's a very unusual old pulley with a hook here. It's all part of the mill.
That's for the cable to post up there. So I brought.
Here's another series of pulleys. You see how they go from different sizes, and we'll see it better inside. But while we're out here, there's another engine here. Why do you have 2 engines?
When we saw them great big hardwood logs.
Yes. So
Yeah.
this was a separate unit.
Yeah, we team it with this one.
Oh, they both went together.
Yeah, they team together. See, when we getting big stuff.
Okay. Now this pulley, the wheel is on a different. You don't put a pulley around that one. That big. What's that unit for up there? That round.
Shingle mill. See the belt goes on the other big shaft up there.
Yes, but I mean
Yeah.
this one right here.
Yeah, that one there on the shingle
It
mill.
went sideways like that, and then it would
Half to it.
half twist. All right. Yeah, you have half twists on these things, and sometimes I remember in the tractors when we used to have the blower running, you had to have a half twist because
Yeah.
it was going the wrong way.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It's the way they reversed the power.
Yeah, so it run the saw the right wood.
Right. Now see, here's one.
Yeah, that runs from that little diesel here. see?
Right in front is Alice Chalmers diesel. Then this would reverse it and go up. Then it would reverse again and go over there, and you would have both of them running to cut the hardwood.
See this here goes up on the other shaft.
Yes.
It goes through into the other part.
And
And
it-
it runs that big shaft over there. you
Okay. See, this is turning here, and that whole shaft is turning like in a
Inside.
all the way. It turns inside, where there's another pulley which then reverses it.
Yep.
We'll see that inside. We don't intend to. You won't be able to run a sawmill when you leave here, but you get an idea of the way things work, and they work very well too.
Oh, yeah.
And you didn't have to buy much electricity when you were running these things, right?
We generate our own
Yeah.
You did.
for
So
light.
you generated your own.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And you
Yeah.
see, the most important thing about equipment is right here, folks, right there.
Yeah.
You've got to have the oil to keep them. 3 lubricatings and another one over there. You have to keep things lubricated. How old is this unit?
Oh, I don't know.
You bought it used, you said.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
up in Bombay, New York.
Uh-huh. And it still runs well.
Oh, yeah. Boy, that runs good because I always kept that up in shape. You know, the old saying is oil is cheaper than parts.
There you go.
You use good
Yep.
oil and it lasts.
All right. Where did you use those size saws? Yours were bigger than that, weren't they?
Well, these are all for, we used to have, well, it's still in the shed there, saw clapboard,
Uh-huh.
you know, and all them saws, and there's that one with the big teeth there, sharpened fence post way in the back.
Yeah.
You know, to put point on fence posts and.
There's a separate saw for different things. Let me
Oh,
ask
yeah.
you a silly question. Who sharpened your saw blades?
I did.
You
My
did.
father.
How often did you have to sharpen a blade like that?
Well, sometime it wouldn't last very long. If we got some fence posts, then pushing the sand and gravel and things like that.
And an extra clamp in there, an extra staple. You didn't
No,
see?
no, we never used the old
You
fence
did?
posts,
Oh.
new one. But you know, when they drag them out of the wood, if
Yeah.
it's a dead cedars, it's cracked and the sand gets in that joint, and you see the spark flies. But
So you made fence posts and sold fence posts?
not too much.
Oh, just
No,
for yourself?
No, because that didn't pay.
Oh.
No, that didn't pay.
You
We
only
tried
did-
to stay in something, that would, get a little profit to pay the help, and sometimes we'd run under.
What did you pay for help? You remember back in the 30s or 40s? What
Well, way back then, they for $2 a day.
$2 a day.
Yeah.
12 hours, right?
No,
11?
no, they just work 8 hours and another shift come on.
But you at one time you only had 2 shifts, right?
Yeah, during the day and through
All
the
right,
night.
okay, but not
So-
steady though.
No,
All
no,
right.
they'd work about their 8 hour, another one took its
All
place,
right.
and so on and so forth. No.
All right,
And
we're
we
going.
had guys that worked for $5 a week. I worked for $5 a month way back when I was 14 years old and milked cows 20, 30 cows by hand.
But you lived well.
Oh yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, my mother mended my clothes and kept my bed clean, so when I'd get my pay, I'd come home, give it to her for doing it.
When he was growing up, did you pay him when he was growing up? When he was a teenager? Huh?
No, I learned him the trade.
You learned the right way. Did you loan him the family car when he was growing up?
No.
Couldn't use the car either. Were you a tough dad?
Oh,
No, he was a good dad.
Yeah.
Taught you an awful lot, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Huh?
Oh yeah, him and Bryant and my oldest daughter there. I had 3 kids, children,
Yeah.
and then the doctor, my wife had hurt herself, and they claimed she'd never have more children. So after 10 years, started another family, 3.
3 more?
Yeah, 3 more. So 6, 3 girls and 3 boys. Take 10 years apart,
Yeah.
the family.
All right, we're going to go inside. Well, that's great. And I'll tell you, you must be a jack of all trades at the farm.
Oh, yeah.
Is there anybody else could do all the things that you do there? I mean, you were taught, when you're in this kind of a place, you learn to do everything.
Oh, yeah.
From welding and everything. All right, we're going to walk through, and things are, of course, are not the way a mill would be if it were operating, folks. This is using it for storage now, and we thank you very much for letting us see
You're welcome.
the
and-
sawmills of yesterday.
Okay. You can come up in here.
Okay. To show you where we are, the diesel, the engine is right here for the Alice Chalmers. The belt would come through here, and the shingle mill is right here, you
Yeah,
said.
the sauce flat.
That's right there. Now, this is the type of things you would make.
Yeah, these are the shingle. Now, see at first, when we got this shingle mill from Lane Manufacturer in Montpelier, Pod keep his saw, so it saw them like they were plain. Well, Uncle Willie Baker worked for Kaufman and Paris Mills, and he came along, he says to Pa, he says, Henry, he says, you're making some nice shingle, but they want laths. And he told him, he says, you take and set a few teeth in your saw so it makes this like a washboard. And when you put your shingle, see, like that, cut the joint.
Yes.
If the water here from this 5-inch to the weather comes in here, it can drain out.
I see. Yes, yes,
See?
yes, yes.
And them shingle never warp. And they...
All right. Now, you see, when you put shingles up, he'll show you again. Put these two side by side.
Okay.
You see, what you did,
Yeah, see?
they would overlap
Yeah,
whenever there's an
that's it.
opening, and then the next one
Cut joint right over
would right
there.
over the top, you see,
Yeah.
and any water that went between it would hit this one and
Yeah,
walk
and
right away.
You're supposed to leave a joint like that between. So
let
if
the
they
water
get
go through.
wet, they swell,
Yep.
and they want bulk. And this side goes down, see on here, makes a channel for your water to come out and run down.
Now, when he talks about setting the teeth, that means when you sharpen them, one's a little longer.
You bend them more to one side so
I
it cuts
see.
a little wider.
So he did it, huh?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Now see that shed out there? I don't know if you ever noticed the shingle on there. They're still on there, and they built that old lumber shed in 1938. The shingle was still on.
Now, these shingles were the side shingles, not this, the roof too. Yeah.
Shingle.
It's very expensive today to have wooden shingles. People don't use it. In Texas, they still use them, but it's very, very expensive for a roof.
Yeah.
At least twice as much.
When we went out of business, shingle, everybody that put shingle on their roof, the Grange and other insurance, they wouldn't sell them in insurance because they had wooden shingle and them were dangerous for fire.
Yep.
So we kind of quit on that,
Okay.
on wind shingle. There's always something, to kill the market for staff.
Now, right over here is an old piece of tool, and Mr. McQuinney from Shazy, you're going to have to lick your chops on these, because Mr. McQuinney collects these types of things.
Yeah, I don't want to sell
No, explain what this is.
This is a plane to tongue and groove. See, you take an inch board and you get this against it.
Right, we have to turn it this way so they can see it. Okay.
And this here makes a groove for tongue and groove lumber. See right here, that knife is.
And that goes right straight through it, and you
Yeah.
put the top of the board. You did it by hand.
Yeah, this all hand work.
And you go through a few times, you see.
Yeah.
And then there's different planes. You see, there's various. They do different. They have different kinds of.
Now this one here is the one that made the tongue. See?
Yep.
Yeah. Where this knife here, see, fits right into that groove right there. See?
Okay, I'm sure
This
this
is a pair.
a pair that go.
Yeah, it goes together.
Now there's 80 to 100 different planes. You didn't put a new tool in. Each one had its own job, and you had a separate plane for each kind of job. This one would make a molding.
No,
A curve.
This rounded the stair thread.
Okay,
Just on the front.
yep.
Yeah. Them were my uncle's the step, and I don't want to get red on them.
No, see.
Yeah. See, this is a joiner plane. See, it angles so it cuts easier.
This is for just
Can you
to
put that-
square off
that
a board at the edge, and it's wide and it's angled because you can't cut straight across. So you kind of shear it as it goes by. These are very well made. And did you make any of these? These were purchased, right?
Them were purchased. Now
Right.
this is made.
So you
for-
turn this way, Mr. Meseck, so
Yeah.
he can see with the camera.
This here is to make ship lap. You know what a lap board? So you cut down this deep, and
Yep.
it took this corner out of the corner of the board.
Yep.
It made a ship lap.
And like anything else, the most important thing is keeping your tools sharp.
Yes, and this is good tool here. You sharpen them, they stay sharp.
It's the only thing wood on, that's metal on here is a knife.
Yep.
Everything is
Everything else is wood.
Yeah.
Made special.
Yeah.
Now, what is that one? That's a little bit. Oh, that's the one you had before.
Yeah.
Yep. All different
This
kinds.
here is for thinner lumber. That makes a groove on a half inch.
You see, this has a hole within the blade itself. See,
Yeah, a groove.
cuts on both sides of the groove. Leaves it up so that you have the. Now, there's a different.
Joint like in the bottom of a chair, so the tongue wedges as you squeeze
Yes.
it in. This here, it's to make that part.
Did
glue
you
joint.
and you use that here too? Did you use? You never used this one.
No, we got this stuff. Pa had a plane with I don't remember a lot of knives.
Yeah.
A Stanley plane that made all kinds of molding, like for window sash, all that stuff.
Okay, you see, the only thing here that's metal is that little piece of right here. This thing behind is only there to wedge it in so it don't move.
Yeah,
and you can-
as you tighten it together, it tighten the joint
Yep.
both way when you clamp it.
And there's another rounding.
Yeah, that's for 1.1/8" stair thread. You know the round
The edge,
part?
yep, the part that you see when you go upstairs.
Yeah, on the front.
See, this has two blades, one on either side.
Yeah, so it cut easy.
Because they couldn't get that much of a groove, I guess. Huh? And it cuts easier. It's part here, then it cuts a little bit later.
Yeah.
This stuff, any of this stuff, when you did stuff for Sears Roebuck?
You did
No,
some. You did
no.
some.
Yeah, I'll show you.
Okay,
some
now
of that.
on the side of this it says LaFontaine. Did you know? Did you get these from a man named LaFontaine? Do you know who that made, or
Yeah.
is he the one who made it?
I don't know.
No, they ain't the one that made it.
No.
You ever knew the where was his name now? LaFountain that lived near the river where what was June?
In Champlain?
Yeah.
Yeah, wait a minute. Albion LaFountain on the corner?
No, you live further in. They kept bees for years down in there.
No, I don't. Can't place the
Where's
name.
that street where
Moore
Jews-
Street.
You-
Not Bert
No.
LaFountain?
No.
No.
No. You know, you cross the bridge, and there's that road that went down there till the.
Yes, yeah. Where Mr.
sanitary-
Mr. Biddard is? River.
No,
It's River
down-
Street.
Yeah.
Well, maybe River Street.
River Street, across from the old bank, next to the bowling alley.
Yeah, went way
River
down
Street,
there.
yeah.
What was his name? Dave?
Earl.
Earl.
Yeah,
that was-
Bill Earl?
Bill Earl lived down there.
Yes.
Miss LaFountain. Bernard LaFountain, you ever heard
No,
of him?
I can't think of no.
No.
He lived down there.
You lived down there. They kept bees there. And this is some of the old planes. Yeah.
Of course, these are clay.
We sent. Neil.
Things are not all picked up here because this has been covered, it's been used as a table here, but you can see the saw with about a 3-foot diameter.
Oh, it was 48 in.
48 across here?
Yeah,
All right.
feel that machine way under here. See it one time?
Okay.
It's been used.
It's
a
been
lot.
used up. Now, this saw blade turns horizontally, not up and down like the normal saw. Now, you can explain, you put the wood, a block, you cut all the wood the length of the shingle.
Yeah. And then you drop the block in there.
The block would drop in over here.
Yeah.
All right.
There. And every time you shove it in, cock angle with the butt this end, the next time it tipped, made the butt on that end, so it kept your shingle
Okay.
straight.
See, this
grain.
piece right here, which held the wood back here,
Yeah,
would
plant the block.
would travel along here. See,
It plant- that,
this travels along, and as it goes along, this turning very fast would cut along here and cut it off into a shingle.
Yeah.
Correct.
yeah.
It hasn't been used for several years, and it's hard, and things have been just accumulating. And then the sawdust would be blown out.
It was sucked,
Sucked
in
in-
the back. It catch it there in this
Would
pipe.
go up this pipe and up into the roof, up into the
Yeah,
upstairs.
Go all the way around.
Sawdust bend
It's-
upstairs.
The bend is there for
Yeah.
sawdust, shaven, and
And that was all inside. You
Yeah,
had to put it
all-
outside where it
yeah,
got wet.
yeah.
Did you sell that separate to people?
Farmers would come pick it up.
For the bedding, and this here would keep the
Dust.
dust out and throw it. That's the fan. And put it outside.
yeah.
And did you ever get any of that on your wife's washing when she was washing? Get some of that dust? No. You'd have
but-
heard if it did.
Yeah, used to put it. Clothesline was way down on the
Yeah.
other side years ago.
In the winter, how did you heat? Did you have a stove inside?
One over there and one here before we put this diesel.
But it didn't get very warm. I mean,
Oh no!
you
no.
wore mittens.
Yeah, mitten. And,
It was not the most pleasurable thing,
Yeah.
you know, to work outside. You didn't work in the best of conditions. Now, what we have over here is, and I don't want to get in the light here, is a.
What
This
they
is what is
They
this?
call that a one-man crosscut. My father used to use that to cut his trees down.
Down, remember that?
And years ago, and he'd use the timber by hand, which
Yep,
I brought
to make a 12 by 12. Now
timber.
remember, this he would have. Hold this just for a moment here. This he'd hold like this and cut a tree in this direction.
Yeah, down to the ground.
Depending on, you might be either were bending over or on your knees, one or the other.
on your knees.
Because you didn't want to cut it up too high.
Yeah.
And you kept this sharp. Did they used to bring a sharpener in the woods?
Yeah, they said
little
hit
file?
dirt. Yeah, and see, there's a handle that went in here too. You
So
have it here.
you'd have this here. Yeah, you could.
Yeah,
two-handed.
two hand, And then you could move this over in the next hole and get 2 men, one on each end, see?
You could put the handle over there so you
Yeah.
would have one on each end if you needed
Yeah,
it.
man, on each end.
And this was your dad's saw, and he's kept it because of that reason.
Yeah.
Many,
I
many
don't
years
want,
old.
no matter what, I want to keep that yet. you put in some hard labor in that.
See, here's some various belts, and you'll see on the end up here, you see that wire? That's the way they kept the 2 ends together.
Yeah.
They were alternate things like that they were laced together.
A clip or hook?
Clipped or hooked, okay.
Okay. Okay.
All right, we'll put that.
Yeah, you probably.
Now this may seem funny to some of you people out there, but this is a burlap bag they used to get grain and different things in, and you don't see them anymore. And this has no holes in it or anything. And they used to use these on a farm regularly, and they kept them. They would return them. You got a deposit, right, on bags?
Yeah, GLF and ag weight.
Right?
And,
It's burlap.
yeah.
You just don't see those. Now, this is, what are you going to tell us about this?
These are belt lacers. Lacing, like you
Like I just showed you up there?
Yeah.
Now, you're going to go lace somebody's belt?
Yeah, Marvin's got there. He's planing some lumber to
Uh-huh.
build. They're building a little building for his son up here, because they want, when they build a lot now, they got to have a store building to store stuff. So that's what he's doing.
Can you lace these yourself?
Oh, yeah.
You can, yeah?
We got a machine to lace.
Is it? We got a machine you lace it with.
Yeah.
I think it's over there.
Okay. Now, one other thing while we were here. These are clamps,
Yeah,
and all that you bought was the metal part.
yeah.
And then he makes
Make
the hardwood, and you see there's grooves in it here?
for different length, width or length.
See, and that's what you can, move it up so you don't have to use the screw as much.
Yeah, well, for different wide stuff. Like,
right.
Yeah. Like to hold a window casing together before you nail it.
Yeah. You see another thing you see here? Look. You don't throw away things. You might never could. Maybe you can use it sometime, right?
Yeah.
What's a red rag for?
We used to use that as a flag in the back
On
of
the back
truck.
of your lumber. If it's over 3 feet, you gotta have. Yeah.
Yeah.
You keep. I carry one in my car. I carry one.
Marvin, let's see.
You see here the old sign?
can-
Ask for no credit. All sawing is cash. All lumber is cash. Did you follow that? Did you follow it? This is
Can
what.
you put that light on there, Marvin? The breaker's on.
And you see sometimes in the mills
No.
when you don't
The
have
breaker must be off.
paper, you use the wood to write. See?
Yeah.
This is his scratch pad right here.
Yeah.
And you allowed no smoking, right?
Yeah, no smoking in the building.
Right.
If they wanted to smoke, take a break and go and sit somewhere.
Yeah, very dangerous, very
Yeah,
combustible.
yeah,
Did you ever have a fire anywhere?
No, not in the mill. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And you see little things all over here, folks. You know that a lot of them, I don't know what they are. Well, now this, you don't use this.
That's what we use to lock the building. See, the lock is there.
That's not for the lock.
No,
That's not for. What's that
the old
for?
Black horse ale that come out of Canada.
Yep, the black horse ale. There's the horse on it. That's very collectible. See that? Here, see the black horse ale? Let me turn it over, Calvin. It's better on the other side. See it? Black horse ale. That was to open the bottle.
Yeah, it's a bottle opener.
Only for company. You never drank any of that.
No, I
no,
never
no.
drank.
You
me,
didn't?
no, never drank. No. Now, if we will be able, the lights are on.
The lights are on. Stand by. Please stay with us. We're at the Meseck Farmer Sawmill on the Meseck Road in Morse Parks. What we're looking at in this dark here is a shingle packer, you said,
Yeah.
right? And you pack you pile them up,
Stack your shingles in there,
and then you got a handle.
And then you pull this, and it binds it, so you can put straps to hold the bundle together.
The straps were made out of metal, or was it wire?
Metal.
Metal straps. That would hold your shingle together. Shingles are very handy to have around a place because you can use them for wedges. When something isn't even, you can put them under a leg of a...
All these here are scrap shingle. They're not fit. They're too narrow to put on the roof or inside the building. See, there's a bunch there
Uh-huh.
for what they call shimming shingles.
Yes.
Yeah, you
yes.
use them to shim. You
Yep.
put one way and the other, and you can raise
Yep.
it. And
then you get.
So-
You see, what he's saying is that's very important. You put this shingle this way and another one the other way,
yeah, and
and you see you have a very thin thickness, and as you go, it keeps getting thicker in the middle here, see?
yeah.
That you can
Yeah.
raise it up to that much. You can go from this thickness all the way up to here,
Well, you could go by.
and you can
if
go by
want.
it. Yeah, you can go keep going, see?
Yeah, and you gotta.
Unless you level some stuff.
Yeah.
So these are very handy to have around work. The ladies in the house, you can't use them very much. Put them under a chair if it rocks.
No, what you can do with these, I say, like my wife, you can use it as a board of correction.
Marvin, do you remember that?
No.
You never did that either. You had a good mom as well as a good dad.
You never heard the board of correction?
I've heard it adored as education. Now, have you any idea how many hundreds and thousands of hours you've spent in this building?
No. We never looked for
You
that.
have spent a lot of years
Oh, yeah.
and a lot of.
Yeah. You know, at one time here, I was all alone for truck driving. And I have worked all day in here and delivered lumber for Potato House, south of Malone, so the carpenter would have their stuff when they came in the morning after midnight.
You raised your family right in here from this work right in here.
on this piece
Yeah.
of land here, yeah.
You didn't go out, but I mean mostly from the money you made right in this building.
Yeah. Yeah.
You didn't go out and cut wood. People brought wood to you.
Oh, yes, at first we buy all the logs,
Uh-huh.
and then we couldn't get what we wanted. So what I did, I got in with a lawyer, Jimmy Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
You know him?
A good lawyer,
Yeah,
yes.
yes, a real estate lawyer. That's
Yes.
what you gotta have.
Yes, he was,
So
yes.
they're not looking to your pocketbook, how much money you got,
Oh,
because
yeah.
that's what they look for the first.
Is that right? Well,
Oh,
you
yeah.
hear that out there now. Yeah. Yeah.
And Harold Jerry, Bob Booth, and Jimmy Fitzpatrick, Miners Institute
Yep,
lawyer.
yep.
He worked a lot for me.
Yeah.
And the first thing I'd do before I went and cut log on anybody, I'd go and see if anybody had a mortgage on the property. See, not cut any stuff on
Yep,
the mortgage.
exactly. Yep. Yep.
And then, if there was no mortgage recorded in the town where the lot was, or in Plattsburgh, Elsie Stark, he was
County clerk.
Yes.
county clerk.
Yep. From Altona.
Yeah, I'd go there, and he'd tell me which book to go and get.
Yep,
You know, he was
yep.
always busy.
Yeah.
Certain place, so I'd go in and pick that book, and I'd pull one out so it would be placed right back in it
Yeah.
where it belongs. See,
Yeah.
so not mix it up because he didn't have time to look to tell me right where it was. Then I'd bring it to him, and if there was no mortgage on the property, I'd lease the land till the woodlot was cut. And my woodsman compensation would cover anybody got tear and got hurt so they couldn't fall on the farmer. See if the farmer
Yeah.
paying for the place.
When you lived here, where did you go to school? Where was the nearest school?
Blackman's Corner.
You had to walk?
Yeah, night and morning.
Yeah. How many years did you go to school?
Till I was 14 years old. And I had went through 6th grade,
Uh-huh.
and I was just going to school to play and read.
You didn't study?
I didn't have to. I'd pass. I'd pass everything the year before.
Yes.
And I wanted to get out of school to help my mother and father.
Uh-huh.
And they told me I couldn't get out of school because they were going to lose public money, and I had to go till I was 16.
16. Oh,
You know,
boy,
so
yeah.
16 years old. That's
Yeah.
the only time you could get out.
Yeah.
So my father was working down in Champlain fixing houses, you know, and things like that. So I told my mother and him, I said, I'm going to try to get out of school somehow. So my father, weekend, He'd make window doors, casing, all that
He
stuff.
made windows too.
Oh,
yeah.
yes. We got the machine to make the window stock. And there's a lot of stuff upstairs that
Yeah.
Marvin could show you that we used to make.
Uh-huh.
And so he had made some window casing and doors for Mr. Sargent, Bradley Pond Road. You know where the
Near
Bradley...
Ellenberg, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Ellenberg.
near Ellenberg Center.
Yeah. He had an old log house, and he wanted to cut the hole bigger, you know, to put the new casings in, new window, and fix the house over again, and add them little small window. So we'd have to cut the whole log to make bigger hole. And they used to just put log one on top of the other. They didn't have nothing on the end here. So Uncle Joe came from Fairfax, Vermont. Pa got him. He was all done. It was late, about this time or earlier. It was cold, though, then. So what I'd do, I'd measure, 5 inches wider than the casing so we could spike a plank on the end of the log after the logs were cut. Then you can pack around it with oakum rope to stop the cold from coming through.
Uh-huh.
So the old man, the old lady didn't want us to sit away from the table. If you got your lunch, come and eat as a family with me, he'd say, Mr. Sargent and his wife. And then afterward, he didn't want us to bring no lunch. We're supposed to eat at the table with him. So one day, I was cutting stuff, with a handsaw. And even at 14 years old, I could make a mark on a board like that, cut with a handsaw, and leave half of the mark. Yeah, I started when I was
too,
young.
but I leave the whole mark a lot.
I could split a pencil mark right in two. So the old man, after dinner, he said, "Take your time, boys." He asked me, he says, "What do you intend to do when you get out of school?" Well, I says, "I want to start in business." I said, "I don't know right off or when, but I said, I'd like to go in a sawmill business." So he didn't say nothing then, but when we was ready to go at night, he says, "Jim," he said, "You sure that's what you want to do?" I said, "Yes." I said, "I want to help my mother and my father, and if I can get in business with them, that's what I want to do, stay with them, partnership." So he says, "I'll tell you what you do." He said, "We just had a meeting yesterday." He was a school superintendent. Mrs. Ferriol, you don't remember?
I've heard the name Ferriol. You came up. Bill LaBelle mentioned her the other day.
Yeah,
yes.
she was in Champlain.
Yes.
She was a school
Yes.
superintendent. He said, "Jim," he said, "you go down to her. Go to her. We had a meeting yesterday." And he said, there were 3 guys that want to get out of school to help their parents. But he says, we got to be careful. We have got a working certificate for them to get out of school, and after that they buy an old motorcycle and they out tramping. They're not helping at all. So he says, when you get done, take your test. He said, if there's one you're not quite sure, he says, keep it in mind and go do all the one that you're sure, and then you go back, and by seeing these, he said they'll come into your mind.
Good yeah.
Yeah, he said.
Good suggestion.
Yeah, he said it'll come into your mind. He says, according to the way you talk, I think you're honest. And he says, when you get your test done, I had my papers all signed. When she said, time is up, she said, sign your paper. I said, they're already signed, Miss Ferriol. Well, you sure you got them right? I said, I think so. And he said, don't leave the paper with her. He says, after you sign them paper at your test, you have her address a letter to the Board of Education in Albany. And he said, if you want, if she refuses, you tell her that that's all right. All I got to go to school for is hell anyway, and have fun.
Yeah.
So I filled them papers up. She addressed the letter. I put a stamp on it, and I sent it to Albany. And I got with my working certificate back after 2 weeks with a 98.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I
still got it in my chest, put away there.
Your grandchildren and your children are going to love to see this tape. I swear, this is really a gem, really.
Yeah.
So you read and write today too. You still read.
I can't read that good.
You
because,
can't read good?
No, because I got away from that. But boy, I can figure.
Can you talk?
Eh?
You're good at talking?
Well, I think so.
We'll take another sharp break and come right back. We'll give him a little rest. We're talking with Jim Meseck. I'm crying here with Jim Meseck on the Meseck Road and his son, who's not saying very much, but you probably heard all this before, Marvin.
Once or twice.
Once or twice. We'll be right back. Stay tuned, please, to Hometown Cable.
Okay.
We're inside. I happened to notice this great big belt, and he said it's a 24-inch belt. See, you can see down here where it was joined, like he's going to do later. Of course, it's a lot stronger lacing here. Or whatever. That isn't a lacing. What do you call that? That's not lacing.
These are conveyor belts.
Okay.
They come from a white foundry in Plattsburgh.
Okay.
And
they make them? They make the belt?
No.
Oh, no.
They
You mean
use
that's
them
where they
for
used to use them?
to take their clinkers and all that stuff out of there. And these are wore down so they stretch. So my brother, they put them on his property and they released them and he brought them to us. Now, is that the one that was here, Marvin?
No, it wasn't fun to play it.
Oh, okay. Now this one here is no good. It's wore down too thin.
Okay.
There's only rubber in it.
But you don't throw it away.
Well, my brother wanted us to make him a conveyor. He wanted to dig a cellar under part of his house. So
Good idea. Take the dirt out.
So they'd loosen the dirt with a rototiller and throw it in there to bring it out.
Yep.
Now, see, that's one, that big belt there, that was a conveyor belt.
Right here. Okay.
Yeah. See, we laced that to drive that and make good belt.
Now, you see, what we saw coming through from outside was right down here. You see, that's where it came in and returns. And it runs this big pulley here.
Drive pulley.
The drive pulley. And then it drives this whole shaft, which has about 6 or 8 or 10 different pulleys on them, which can then be, you can use a strap to go down to run different equipment.
Yeah, don't hit your hand on
No,
that.
now this, is this a,
That's a tightener for the big belt.
okay, this here is a tightener. Yes. See, that can move, right? That goes down or up.
Yeah,
You see, it's a tension. It puts tension on the belt to tighten it.
Tight down.
Yep. And then again, you see them as you go along, and then this one
That drives that.
runs that one over there.
Run that lane
Yep.
there.
Then it runs there, and it goes to another one. See? These are all, one runs off the other. And this is, you don't see this much today, do you, in mills anymore?
No.
Everything is
Gotta be covered. Everything.
Yeah, and
Right.
run with more.
but today they all have what do you call
B belt.
V belts, or don't they also use shafts?
Yeah.
Gears, huh? They use gears today. See?
Who laid all this out?
I did. My brother, the one that died.
Yep. Now this here is strictly a cut-off saw.
Yeah.
Can you show us how this works right here?
Yeah.
This is a cut-off saw. Again, this belt is turning this, which turns this saw right here, turning in this direction, huh?
Yeah.
Comes down, and then you put your piece of wood you want on here, and then it pushes across and saws it off. You let the part stick out that you want. And I used to do this when I was 10 or 12 years old. My father sold cordwood. And we had went on a tractor, and we had a thing. And, of course, I was on the other end. We didn't have, the power came in over here. And I would catch the wood with both hands and throw it in a pile.
Yeah.
And he would bring the long sticks and saw them off. And then we would cord it and throw it in piles and so forth. And that's it's just a regular cut-off saw.
Yeah.
And this here, you'll notice, this has you see this right here?
So you stick, don't hook.
That's right, so it rolls easier, see? You don't want them to work too hard, right?
Yeah.
You eat too much if you work too hard.
And see what he's doing last night? See, this is a lumber here. But put that on there,
Yeah,
like this. And you cut the end square.
yeah,
One end, hook it there, and then
yeah.
See, there's one going out when the feed belt broke.
Yeah. You actually saw it standing up like that?
Yeah.
You don't lay it down flat to cut
No,
it.
because it slivers it on the bottom. You cut the edge away.
Yep.
You know
Yep.
what it means? It cuts it clean.
Yep. All right. Now, you didn't have a dry kiln at all.
No,
Who bought your lumber that you made over the years?
didn't bark it. So
No,
what the,
But who bought the lumber? Who bought it from you?
my
Who were your
father and
customers?
I.
Yeah, but did you
Oh,
sell?
the farmers?
The farmers came. Yeah.
Some of them wanted to put an addition on the barn. They didn't have the money. They had plenty of log. They'd come over here. Would you buy a log to pay for the lumber?
Yes,
And,
yeah.
yeah. Anyways, to help the farmers out. Because what I used to tell, the supervisor, every time somebody built something new, it increased more tax in the town or the
Yep.
county, and it
Yep.
helped everybody.
Now, let me ask you a tougher question now, all right?
Okay.
Tell me some of the people that you can remember who worked for you, that the people out there will remember who they are. They didn't know they worked
Yeah,
here. Maybe some of the people who worked
Well,
here.
Well, my father's brother, I'll start with
Okay,
him.
yeah.
Yeah.
His name was
His
what?
name was Eddie Meseck, a one-armed guy. He lived in Cooperville near the
I
church.
think I knew him.
Yeah.
I used to live in Cooperville, so he
Yeah.
sounds familiar. Okay.
Yeah, when he was a kid, he slipped on the ice and he fell in a circle or so.
Oh.
Took his arm right off here.
Oh.
Yeah, he was young then too.
Okay.
Yeah, then I had an uncle, married past sister, Fred LaValle. He worked for us. His brother Isaac worked for us.
Wait 1 minute. I want to remind you that when's the last time you ever called your dad Pa? This, of course, it's been a long time since people have called people Pa. You've always called your dad Pa, right?
Yeah,
From
yeah.
way back.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so-
You got two of his brothers.
Yeah. And then you ever knew Louis Hebert? He worked in a pattern shop at Sheridan Ironworks.
I'm not sure.
And his
Calvin?
brother Fred.
Fred Hebert?
Fred-
How did you, is it A-B-A-R-E or H-E-B-E-R-T?
No, that's Hebert. you're
Okay, well, some
talking.
people
That's
pronounce it Hebert in
Yeah,
French,
yeah.
okay.
And there was one, his brother, that lived, after you make the hill there in Champlain.
Yes.
That old house they're fixing on the corner, down near the bridge.
Yes? You
Yeah,
go up the hill from the bridge?
His name, I can't think of his name, but he worked for us
Okay.
too. Hebert.
All right.
And then we had one they call. They worked down at Sheridan too. That worked for us different time. They call him Azel Hebert.
Okay.
Azel. I don't know if that was his right name.
Hazel, yes, he died in 1987.
Right here at Cannon's Corner.
He's buried in our cemetery. I remember his name.
Yeah. yeah.
You run by families, a lot of LaValles, a lot of Heberts.
Yeah, they always wanted to work for us for some reason.
Well, you paid them maybe. You paid them well.
We paid them all we earned, and if they earned more money, I tell them, don't raise the wages, but give them overtime.
Okay.
See?
Were you a tough boss?
Hey, oh no.
You weren't tough? No?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. But we've had guy, sometime after we went in business hard, we used to put up barns, I'd make the print, the cuts for the rafter and all that. Sometimes we had 3-4 barn. I can take you out where some of them are, some burned. And houses in Plattsburgh, and we'd furnish lumber for everything.
Yeah.
Finished lumber, casing, everything.
Did you work in the mill a lot then, too?
No.
Did you ever get paid to work here? I mean, did you ever do it as a job?
No, because, you see, I closed down here when the government bothered me.
Because of the belt?
No. Sales tax, graded lumber. I think I told you that
Okay,
before.
all right.
And
You didn't want to get into all of that.
Well, no, because you had to pay 3-4 guys to ride in big Cadillac, you know. That's the way they made their living.
Who were some of the later, the people that worked for you at last? The last people who worked for you? You remember their names?
No, I operated with my father since in 1943. It was only him and I.
Oh, since 43?
Yeah.
When did your dad die? What year did he die? Do you remember?
Oh.
No? All right. Was
No.
he old when he died?
He was 81.
81? He was
Yeah.
still working?
No, he paralyzed 14 and a half years.
Oh, you mentioned that. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. He was paralyzed, yes, in bed. You said,
he had
yes,
strokes, you know. and
yeah.
Towards the last, I wouldn't let him do hardly anything.
Uh-huh.
I was working in here with some hired help that I had, and I'd send them, you know, to get orders out what we needed to give him a little. He wanted to, you know, stay in.
Yeah.
So
Are there,
easy work.
there's
and-
no more mills like this in the North Country,
no,
huh?
because they're not. Can't get no insurance. See.
Yeah.
When they came and canceled my liability insurance here, I closed up.
Yep.
It's about Timmy Grave Darlene's boy is about 34, eh? Yeah.
No, he's younger than that.
Yeah. This is the reason why we're here. We went to the Rogers mill that you saw where he was making the lumber, and everything is automatic and done with lines. You see beams of light on the logs and all of this. And this is the way it was done before. And this man's a legend. This is one of the last sawmill. And of course, the other Meseck, you know, in Champlain, Felix, had a mill running there for years and was a fixture. A lot of people bought lumber from him.
Yeah.
You know, you don't need dry lumber. And farmers, and it was perfect. And you got your full inch boards. They weren't 3/4 thick, right?
No. See, all these mills now, they take the saw cut out of the board. And
Yep.
they end up, a lot of board, they're not even 3/4
Yeah,
of an
a
inch.
2x4 is 1.5 by 3.5, right?
Yeah.
They're not 2x4s anymore.
No.
All right, we'll take another sharp break and we'll try to show you some of this other equipment. We're talking with Jim and his son Marvin. Well, we're talking mostly with Jim. Marvin's listening in here. He's his encouragement, I guess. And we're at the Meseck, former lumber mill on Meseck Road. I'm Bob Venn. Program's called What's Going On Here. Calvin Castine is the cameraman and is the owner. Regardless of what that lady said in Stevie's yesterday, Bob Venn don't own this channel. It's Calvin Castine. And we enjoyed that lady talking to us. We don't know who she was, but she said she enjoys the show, and both Calvin and I got a kick out of that. And thank you very much, man. We appreciate your comments. Mr. Meseck went and got a piece of molding that he made.
What they call quarter round.
All right, see, this is a quarter of a circle. See,
Yeah,
if you had another one, it'd be a half.
Yeah.
This is a quarter round that goes up into an angle
in the corner.
in the corner.
You get 4 together, it's perfectly round.
Yeah, and you can get different sizes. This is a,
Yeah, from quarter inch, quarter.
and that's what, 3/4?
This is 3/4.
3/4.
Yeah.
And that's made on a machine over here.
No, this one back here.
Oh, okay, we can't see it. Things are piled up.
You can't see
Okay,
it. There.
and you can adjust the heads and do different kinds of
You
molding.
change the head. And then there's a sand head, what they call a sander, and it sands your molding smooth as a glass it goes through.
I remember the planes we showed you outside
Yeah,
could have done the same
made the
thing.
same
It
thing.
was longer and harder, and they just put those little blades on a machine years later.
And then they're not quite accurate. See, you might take more shaving. This, you know, doing by hand.
Yes.
You
yes.
might go too much or not enough,
Yeah, but-
and it's uneven.
A good craftsman was always even, though.
Yeah.
You know.
So this machine, when it goes through, it's all done. And this here is a brush sander. You probably never heard of a brush.
No.
The
Brush.
wheel drove with the machine, and this come out.
And the sandpaper was,
and the
was loose.
sandpaper, you know, it
Oh,
fit.
it-
Yeah, it split. And
Okay, and you can and you sanded it. Yep.
Yeah. This is just run through the machine, ain't it
Yeah.
sanded?
Now this you made with some of the scrap wood you cut off on the sides.
Yeah,
see?
board edging.
Board edging, so you
Yeah.
didn't lose it. You didn't
No.
throw that away.
No.
And you see a lot of the little pieces of wood they kept because you never know when you're going to need a small piece of wood, just like the wire and everything else.
Yeah. And there's still quite a few in here. When they built milk houses years ago, they had to use some of that around the ceiling.
Right, so that the cobwebs couldn't get... Now you notice over here, the wood is, you see how it's different color? That's because the oil they were using here at this end where the bearings are.
Soaked the wood.
Yep. And of course, that was the important thing again, and this was all this running that went from one to the other. And I guess your... Oh, here's some, it looks like hardwood.
Yeah, this here is oak. Now see that just run through the machine. This hasn't been sanded. See how,
Okay, yep.
see how good the machine
Has it been?
works?
It hasn't been planed either.
Yeah, it's been
Oh, that's the
planed.
planer. Okay.
Yeah, the planer, that's the kind
Yep.
of work you did.
Yeah. Buy a piece of wood like this today. See what that would cost you. Just that
Yeah,
size.
well, you can't get good stuff like that no more. No. You
Yep.
can't get good stuff like that.
How many different kinds of wood did you work with?
All kinds.
Lots of wood?
Red oak, birch and
Pine,
yeah, a lot of
cedar,
pine.
a lot of cedar. Huh?
Yeah.
You made all your shingles out of cedar.
Yes.
Why do they use cedar?
Well, I don't know.
Good for water, I think, isn't
Good
it?
for water, and then when you nail them, they also have to split.
Okay.
You see.
Yep.
Yeah, some of them used to bring hamlock, and when they'd nail them, if it was dry, they'd crack.
Well, did you ever hear that when you're putting a nail in, you turn it upside down, and if you blunt the end of a nail,
Yeah.
it don't split. It'll tear the wood rather than separate it.
It
Yep.
punches it.
Yep, it punches it out
Yeah.
rather than splits it.
I bought some nail out of Glens Fall in Albany, not Albany, Glens Fall, New York.
Yep.
Them old-fashioned square cut nails.
Yes.
They're square on the end.
Yep.
They're just tapered a little bit
Yep.
like. I got a lot of
Okay.
them.
Now those don't split wood, right?
No,
they
yeah.
just break the wood and they break
Yeah.
the fibers as they go through.
Yeah. Now see,
Okay.
your wood. Look out, not
Yep.
rip that. Now, when you put these square cut nails in, you didn't put them so they widen out here. You put them this way, and they were straight on both sides. So it punched a hole. If you put it the other way, like a wedge, and it would try to split.
Yeah, the split nails
Yeah.
are wide, longer than they are wide. They aren't square.
Yeah.
They're oblong, and you put
Yeah.
them the
Yeah.
same as the wood.
Yeah.
Now-
They used to call them crude nails.
Okay, now this here you didn't buy from any store. That
No.
you made.
Yeah.
Right here.
Yeah.
This is a piece of wood that
Yeah.
they used to help bring the logs along.
Yeah,
See?
as you saw the lumber, it fell down. When you saw the other board, it get end in and shove them out.
Okay, now you saw this at Rogers where it was all done automatically. That wasn't done here. You had to be over there with a...
Yeah.
And then that whole... The unit that's sticking up over here, Calvin, if you can see where that ran on a track,
Yeah, right
right?
down here.
It ran up and down here with this cable,
The drive.
a drive, all right? And as it went by this big saw that was turning, you cut your board off.
It fell on the rollers.
And then on these rollers, and then it was moved out, see? I'm sorry, they didn't start from this end, they started from the other end. And
Yeah.
it came in this direction, and then the boards fell off here, and then they would go down, and then you would throw a lever and pull the log closer to you, correct?
Yeah.
How many men did it take to operate this saw? Here, you had one on the
When I sawed,
yes.
I operate the mill, 2 to roll on,
Yeah.
and generally take 2 or 3 to handle the lumber out there at the door.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you had 1, 2, 1, and there's 5. If you remember where we were at Rogers, which is automation, he didn't touch the logs at all. They were all done automatically with a machine, and he was up in a little booth up here, moving the logs, everything by automatic.
hydraulic.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they needed one person over here to move the lumber off. That's all it took.
Yeah.
And they also had to load the logs on the other end. Have you ever been to his mill?
No, Marvin's been to
You ought to
Roger.
take your dad. You ought to take your dad.
Delor
He'd appreciate it.
Yeah, Delor Duquette sawed some lumber out here, and he's got one similar to that. All hydraulic, but is a bandsaw.
Uh-huh. A bandsaw is the one that goes around.
His lays down this way. Saws the board.
And it's a portable saw he has?
And he saws the board on top of the log instead up and down.
Timmy Lincourt used to do that for a while from Rouse's Point. One of the Duprees from Moore's Forks works. Ray Dupree's brother, I forget his first name. You remember his first name, Calvin? He works for Rogers there in the plant. You know, Leon. I think they only have 2 employees plus Mr. Rogers. You know.
Yeah.
And well, anyway, you should go there sometime. That would be
he put the log on with a loader. Or
Yep, the whole thing's automatic. Yep.
A clam. Front end loader.
Yep.
Somebody was telling me here a couple weeks ago. When the devil is it? They can reach way out there with a boom, and they catch a log, and they change in, and they can set them on that machine.
That's at Rogers?
I don't know. No, I don't know.
You ought to go and see that. You'd really get to think how much work you've done over the years, you know. But they don't know if they do any better work than you do. It's just that it's easier.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't have to do the lifting. Now, when the lumber came off, what did you do with it? Stack it outside?
Yeah, I can show you a pile of lumber where we had 34,000 feet piled up, almost as high as the corner of that building, halfway to the road there that I sawed for Vic West and West Brothers in Champlain, in Rouse's Point.
Yeah.
Yeah, he used to make window, door, cabinet.
Yeah. Mr. Menard used to work there from here.
Oh,
remember?
yeah.
Worked there for years. Did you build the building yourself, too?
My brother, Stanley, we call him Cliff, we built this here in the winter time.
In the winter?
Yeah. Our first old portable mill, the small mill, tractor saw mill, was closer to the road. Just posting the ground, the road, you know. And
now, did you be right back? We'll be back. We got a battery problem. Stand with us, please. We're next to the saw. This is a planer.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
What they call a four-sider.
Four-side. You got all 4 sides of your boards at once.
I want to finish it.
Okay, right in the beginning.
Every time you run a board through, it's used to measure it, see?
Yep, you know how many feet you were going through, see?
Yeah. Lineal feet.
Yep, and you'd set it each time, and then it's just like a speedometer in a car.
Okay, yeah.
Now,
if you run, say, we generally start with a 4-inch board.
Uh-huh.
So you add so many feet, it went through lineal feet. You divide that by 12. And then multiply it by the width that gives you how many feet it went through.
Board feet.
Board feet.
Yep,
yeah.
Okay.
And that's the way this works.
And that's the way you would charge them, so much for board feet?
Yeah.
And this had blades that would smooth the board, that's what a planer does, on all 4 sides at once.
Yeah, top and bottom.
Because the board is very rough. You see, this is a board that has not been touched.
Yeah. Now you can come over down this way if you want to see.
Okay. He's going to show you. And you change the different heads on this machine, you said, right?
Now, see this here? There ain't much light there, but I guess you can see. Let me get over here.
Okay.
I'll put this light on.
Better?
Okay.
Yep.
Now, this would plane the top. We had a bigger machine here, but a board wider than 10 inch is too wide for tongue and groove. After a few years, it shrink and you could see right by. So I bought this machine way near Buffalo, and we sold a great big 24-inch one we had. It was too big anyway. Now this planes the top. This here makes the groove. See the 19?
Yep, on the side right there. See the finger?
Yeah.
There's the groove. Like you saw one in the other room by hand. Well, that's...
Yeah. This side made the groove. That side made the tongue.
Yep.
And all you had to do here for wider, you loosen the wheel down in here, put a crank here, and it widened for your board, see?
Uh-huh.
It pulled its head way out here to plane 10 in.
So when you're back there, you did the top and the bottom at the same time. There was a planer on each one on each side.
This did the bottom of the board.
Oh, the board is way out here.
Yeah, this plane under, this plane's the side, and this here plane's the top.
Now, there's several blades that turn.
Yeah, four-sider.
Four-sided blade, and takes a little bit each time, and it smooths out your board.
This here, a guy that tails the machine here, he has a hard time. That goes fast, feeds through like the devil. A guy that takes the lumber away from it, there's a table that goes, let's get away. By the time he gets back, he piles it on the end there to go out. There's one in his way.
Yeah. Now, you didn't ever plane when you were sawing.
Oh, yeah.
At the same time?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah? You weren't in each other's way, no?
No.
Have you got
because we never filled a skidway to do that. You know, just a few log or something.
Do you have a piece of tongue and groove around anywhere nearby?
Yeah.
That you could show us what we're talking about?
Yeah, there's one right here.
I know of
Marvin.
Right there?
Oh, yeah, there's some boards right there.
All right, this is what we're talking about when we talk about tongue and groove. You see, it has a hole on one side, you see? A groove. Which when you put the second board, it looks like this,
and the other one goes
and it fits. So they fit, and it looks like a solid board. Now, what he was saying here on this machine, the top and the bottom was plain. This was made on one side, and on the other side at the same time they were grooving out this. Now, this is what's going to happen here. You see, this is the tongue, and then the groove, and they put them right together. And you end up with a...
This is bent.
Oh, it's bent right now, but that's where they fit in, see?
Yeah, and they come even here.
Yep. See, they're nice and level, because it's all done on the same machine, see?
Yeah.
And then the next one would go here, and they would sometimes use a wooden mallet or a rubber mallet to kind of drive them down if you have...
You know what we always use?
Oh, you had another little piece.
A scrap, a hardwood board.
Put over it and
hit it with a...
You're right. That had the same groove, right? And it would fit right down over it.
The other board keeps continuing.
Yep. And you don't always, another thing when you're building, you don't always put the ends together. You alternate them, right? You don't.
Oh, yeah.
You know, if you got
to lap 2 feet, 4 feet.
Exactly. You keep lapping them as you build up.
If they're 12-foot board, you go 6-foot lap.
Yep.
So the joint won't come.
Now, the first planes we saw you by hand, you could make one of these by hand.
Yeah.
The old days, and you could also make this one by hand, but that obviously is not as fast as this. No. This is more uniform too. Yeah. All right, well,
years ago, I don't know if you remember, I used to make some of them old top log that stayed in the wood with all warm heating. Warm hole.
Yes, you wanted them like that.
You wanted them like that.
Yeah.
And I fixed some for Everett Sunderland. He fixed a room down cellar at his house.
All right.
And sometimes he said they had enough hole, he'd take a drill.
Yep, because they wanted it. That was what you wanted to see. See?
You feel like that.
Yep, they wanted that as part of the design.
Yeah.
And this was the old knotty pine. That's what you had.
Yeah, the knotty pine, tongue and groove. So I bought some log next for nothing that was knotty top. You know, as long as they were sound knot like that.
Yeah.
And he fixed a room down cellar where he had a pool table and all that. And he came over here, he said, Jim, he was an insurance guy in Ellingburg.
Yeah.
He said, I want to spray these. Spray it with gold paint, silver paint, and then run them through the planer so these holes would be painted.
Yep. All right. So some people can do the same thing. They wipe the paint off, and it leaves the paint wherever the holes are, and it gives it a leopard effect or something.
Yeah. And I'd run them through the plater for him, and then he'd finish it,
Yep.
and he'd put that nice finish on the outside.
Now, I assume that when you're watching this, you have already seen the two shows we had from Ellenberg, where we talked about the Sunderlands, and we talked about the people from Ellenberg, and we had some great old pictures there in Ellenberg, and we thanked the Catholic Daughters for taking the time to be with us in the parish hall. I remember the name of it that time, the parish hall, and Father Menard, and today this is really reminiscing today with a fine old gentleman by the name of Jim Meseck. And his son here, Marvin's with us, and we hope that you're going to enjoy seeing yourself when you see this on TV. He's never seen himself on TV before.
No.
And somebody must have a VCR in your family, right? There you go. You're going to go down there, and you're going to enjoy it so much.
Yeah.
We'll be right back. We're at the former Meseck Mill, and we thank you, Brian, for telling us about your dad twice. We finally got here.
When he's ready.
Calvin was asking Mr. Meseck off camera about how this was designed, and you started to tell us about this shaft. This is the shaft that runs from one side of the building to the other, which you said is 24 feet?
The first one here piece is 24
24
foot. The
feet
building is 24 foot wide. here.
Okay. And tell us how that got here.
Now that was put in a box with thick planks that held it right in the middle so it wouldn't get bent, and shipped on a train from an American split pulley company. The pulleys and the shaft was all sent in, not all the pulley, but most of them was sent in then with what we needed. And that, as we made the building bigger, we had to get some oars and so on till that's the way it's set up there.
So when you
now.
started, you didn't have as many pulleys
No,
as that,
no.
but you had the same shaft.
The same shaft.
And it's been up there all this time.
Yeah. And then we needed one 14-foot long, which is this one here, starting at the coupling
Okay.
on this end.
That goes over to your shingle.
Yeah. That pulley, this one here, and the one around the circular saw, they're all the same size. So we had to use a speed indicator to know what speed to run each machine. See, not to go too much over or under.
Yeah. And the diameter of the wheel is what governs how fast your machine's going to run.
Yeah.
So you have to know those things.
We
ahead.
use a speed indicator on the shaft there, and then each machine belt to bring the speed up to what it has to go.
When you have a groove like this, is there a reason for that groove?
No, but see, they put a rim in the middle on the inside.
Yes.
See, so you can, when you tighten them bolt, it tightens the pulley on the shaft. See, there's
Okay.
no keys in the shaft or nothing.
All right.
And this here makes it stronger. See?
Yep,
it
because
bolts-
reinforced. Yes,
bolts
yes.
it through this way,
Right.
see, and this way.
Now, when they were showing us this planer over here, and we spent quite a bit of time here, I was asking him afterward, how does he run it? We know he runs it from a pulley, but he didn't see a pulley.
Yeah.
Well, the pulley used to come off here,
No,
no, way over there,
that big one
to here, see? It ran on this, and when this turned, it turned that one, and that pulley turned the others along the way.
Then belt drives ahead.
There's two belts here, there's some more over there, and there's
Two
one in
over
the
there
middle,
and
two in the middle.
under for the spindle that planes the edge of the lumber.
Yep.
Where's that? What did Marvin bring down?
A piece of hardwood.
That piece of hardwood
Oh, is it maple or?
flooring.
Yeah.
Flooring's
Now,
a little
this
bit
is-
different.
This is maple flooring.
All right. This is the top, and you see there's the tongue, the groove and the tongue, and the bottom is made. Why do they have that groove?
That's so the air can travel, so it don't build no moisture between the subfloor and here.
Are you serious? That's why that's there?
Right, or because it traveled back and forth, stop your floor from swelling or shrinking.
I never knew why that was there.
Yeah,
That's why.
yeah. And then you use nail here. It comes right out here to
Yep.
nail in the subfloor.
So when that man told you in Champlain about the grooves in your shingles
Yeah.
the same kind of a principle. So
Yeah, let the air
this was
travel.
air. That was for
Yeah,
water running through,
Yeah,
and the
so-
air to dry
yeah,
it.
Yeah, see if it a little got cold and the heat built moisture.
Yep.
It come out of the end. It
Yep.
didn't trap it in there.
I don't know if
Now, you see, this here, that just run through the planer. Feel that.
you. Okay, this is
Yeah.
the planer, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
This is sanded at all. That's the way it comes out. Finish.
Yep.
Smooth.
Yeah.
Now, you see most planer, they plane washboard. Now, you know why it does that? My knife, when I get done them, they don't weigh a fraction of an ounce heavier than the other. Because the heavy one,
Well,
throws it off and it jumps like that. You
Uh-huh.
feel a lot of vibration in the machine.
uh-huh.
So when this here, all it does when it runs, it's just like it whistles.
Yep.
You know?
all the same. Now,
Yeah. Because one knife don't throw the head out of balance.
okay. Now, Jim, this is a 12-inch board here. Did that bring more money when you sold that than this did?
No.
Today it will. Today
Oh,
you
yeah,
want
because
wider boards. You
They
know?
don't sell by the 1,000 feet. They sell by board foot. Then they
But you know they like wider boards and narrower boards.
Yeah.
But now this is hardwood, and
Yeah,
when you're
they-
putting in flooring, you do not nail
no.
through the surface.
You nail right here.
Right through here, they have these nailing guns, and they go through at an angle, so they're
Yeah.
hard to pick up when you were trying to lift them out. If you ever had to replace. Now this is a narrow. Why is this?
Yeah, because a lot of time you come out with hardwood, and if you're going to got a house that's damp or something like that, the narrower it is, less it shrink and leave a crack here. See, a
Okay.
narrow board
Yep.
don't expand so much, and
Yep.
and if it expands too much, I've made some 4-inch flooring. You know, years.
Look, you get back here so you can see your face here.
Yeah.
Where you're
They
okay.
made 4-inch flooring.
Yep.
And in the damp house where they had wood, after a while you got a wide crack in there because it keeps shoving it out and it unnails it.
You already told me earlier about some boards that were making them too wide.
Yeah.
And you said you shingles, I guess, or something, and you wanted them because they start to bulge or something. My grandfather, who was Israel Manette in Champlain,
Yeah.
said that even 12 by 12 tiles, you know, for the ceiling, they'll start to bowl. He said,
Yeah.
don't ever buy 16-inch because they'll
Yeah.
start to bowl after very short. The weight starts to hang.
It isn't only the weight, you know. If you got a lot of heat under, which all your heating systems at the ceiling, and then you got coal on top, when the heat hits where it's cold, it's going to make a moisture.
All right.
Yeah. What they call that? Concentration?
Condensation. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what it does, when it dries,
Dries the other way.
it, yeah, sags.
All right. We'll take another short break where we're talking with Jim Meseck. He's filling us in and making us learn a little bit about lumber, and it's been a delightful day so far. It's colder in here than it is outside. In the wintertime, you were glad to get out of the wind, right?
Yeah.
But the doors were open in the winter
Yeah,
usually
yeah.
because you
Never
had
closed.
never closed them.
No.
Weren't you glad to get in the house at night and get near the heat after working all day in the cold?
No, you get used. You dress up for it, you know. No.
Want the jacket?
Hey?
You want your jacket on now?
Yeah, it's getting chilly.
getting
in here.
chilly.
Just shove it on the...
We're looking at the big saw, and as I was talking, you'll see these circles. And all this is just to hold in that little tiny piece right here, which is the blade. And you can buy those little, you buy those teeth. All right.
Inserted too.
And this is the tool he's going to show us how he puts it in or takes it out, I guess.
Yeah.
There is the tooth.
Inserted
For the
tooth
saw.
cell. What they call an inserted tooth cell.
That's all there is to the, and the only thing that's cutting is the very tip of that. It cuts off and chips it. And how many are there on a blade like that, on a saw like that? Any idea?
This is 52 tubes.
52 of those on one of these now.
Yeah.
Then you would take, and you're going to put this back in now, And you can watch it put that back. That little. Now, do you sharpen them on the saw?
Yeah, never.
Well, we don't take them out. Now he's going to put that back in. And now he needs. So he's going to put the wedge over here to hold it.
I don't know.
And there's that little part of the tooth. Now he's going to bring it back down.
Now, you never could hit them hard because if they're not quite here when they're sawing, they slide in. And
All right.
tear in.
Now, you're pushing against that, so it's not likely to come out the other way.
No, it shoves them in.
Even more all the time.
Yeah.
I thought you used those little holes to do, but it's all because of that one tool.
Yeah, that wrench that takes them out. What they call an inserted tooth cell.
How often normally would you replace a tooth? How long? Is that good for a month?
Oh, it depends how dirty the lumber are.
Okay.
We've sawed as much as 10,000 feet of lumber without having to replace them. But when they skid their log in the summertime, like 10 here, sometime every 2 hours, got to stop and file.
2 hours?
Yeah.
Let me ask you a simple question that I don't know. How do you know when it needs to be sharpened?
Oh, it gets so dull it tears the wood all up.
Then do you sharpen them all at the same time?
Yeah.
And how do you sharpen? By hand with a file?
Yeah, with a file.
How long does it take you to file those
Oh,
52?
It depends. Sometimes it ain't too dull, but sometimes you got to take quite a bit off. You got to file and file and file till you get a sharp corner.
Half an hour?
Oh yeah.
To do it, you could do it with that, yeah.
Perhaps.
2 hours. Could be just 2 hours.
Yeah.
Then you'd have to do it again.
Yeah.
Because the most important thing is a sharp saw.
Yeah. If it doesn't do good work, why do bum job?
You see, many of we homeowners have a crosscut saw, and we're pushing. And the saw should do its own work, right? You don't push and bear down and.
It's a man killer when you do that.
I know it. And I don't split the line either.
No.
I don't split my pencil mark.
Yeah.
All right, so this is going, you said, about 850 revolutions
it's running.
per minute. And he was telling us off camera that the only part that touches the log is a quarter of this at a time. The rest of it's waiting to get its turn, right?
Yeah.
So there's only that one part that's cutting. The rest of it is waiting to get to that point.
Now,
Like with your lawnmower. Your lawnmower only cuts in the front.
Yeah.
Once it cuts, it's just spinning around to get there again.
Can you bring me one of them 4 foot thick tears?
And
I want to.
this
keeps
keeps your log apart, I think.
It's just the tension in the saw. I worked with the Simon people that made saw in Montreal.
What do you mean tension?
Well, it's so that they're all the pressure is all the same all around the saw. Because when you're sawing here with quarter of the saw.
Yep.
Yeah. This part of the saw pulls down here.
Yep.
From the shaft, pulls down as far as here. See?
Yep.
Then over here, pushes. This, see, pulls down.
Yep.
This part of the saw here pushes up here
Yep.
to here.
Yep.
So what it does, when you got a lot of power, you probably been to some sawmill, this here's tight as hell till here, because this pulls down and this here got to push itself through. So your back of your saw here, it'll do this.
Wobbling.
Yeah, because
Okay.
you see, this here don't have no pressure on this piece.
Yep.
So you got to hammer the saw so it's tight here all the way.
Hammer? What do you mean hammer?
Put the tension in the
You mean
saw.
you hammer on that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Well, I'd fix a lot of them. When Henry Greenberg had a wood lot in here, he'd send his saw to New York, and he had a lot of trouble with him. I'd hammer a saw, and he'd saw all winter frozen log.
Is that right?
Yeah. Ask Bill LaBelle.
I will. Well,
Yeah.
Bill will see this.
Yeah.
Bill's going to enjoy seeing
Yeah.
this.
So what this saw does here, it'll kick sawdust to beat all because it's waggly
Yeah.
like this when you're
Yeah.
sawing. So you got to get the right tension for the right speed. Now it's harder to hammer sail, put the tension in, to run 400 than 8, because when that saw's turning, the half of it throw itself right out straight, on the rim.
Yep.
So I'll show you the tool that I
Okay,
use.
now, one more thing he mentioned before, these pipes that are going up, right in here, that at the end of that pipe, there was a little fan that's there, correct?
Yeah, there's a blower.
And that blower is what was blowing the sawdust up into the upstairs
These pipe and a dam.
and pulling it from the other places.
Your
Yeah.
hand on it.
No, and pulling it from the other places, and it pulled the sawdust from down below,
From down below.
up and over, and then once they got it up there, you could back a truck in,
Yeah, under the
and you could
cab.
just open